everybody. What is happening to you out there in wonderful internet land? My name is Jason Tudor. Welcome to this show as a JK. You are on with your pal Keith. He's in the bottom box right down here. That's me. My daughter's right over there playing Minecraft, so we're going to hear her every once in a while, Keith. That doesn't bother you, does it?
Okay. Nope.
I didn't think so. All right, so
Nope, not at all.
looks like all the regulars are lining up. Ray's here, PJ's here, mics are hot. We know the mics are hot. We know that. We know when we turn on our mics.
Tony Bullocks? Tony Bullocks?
Tony
Bullocks?
Bullocks.
No way.
Bullocks, I say. I say Bullocks.
Tony Bullocks.
Hopefully we'll get
Tony and I worked together in Turkey, catching shoplifters, and then we both ended up PCSing with our active duty wives to Cannon, if he's still listening. If you're still listening, hi, Tony.
He probably saw that you were using.
Say hi.
They probably saw that you were live on video and you ran away.
Probably.
Yeah, that's my theory. Anyway, all right, we got a lot to talk about
Tony
tonight.
was an excellent photographer.
So we've got a big show. We got a big show for you. Glad you're all here as our fifth and sixth listeners pop on or watchers, and the bitrate looks good, and I know the audio is good because I tested it 40,000 times. So Matt Davis should be happy tonight.
Yeah,
everything's all right. So let's get to it. Let's talk about. Go ahead, you first.
Well, no, I was just going to say since we last spoke,
yeah,
we have a new president.
Of the army, or no? I'm just kidding. Yeah, we do. We do have a new president, and the QAnon revolution that QAnon thought would come did not come, and they are very, very heartbroken by that. They are very upset that they did not have a revolution on Inauguration Day. But yes, we have a new president. He has been. What do they say at Walmart when they chop a price? He has been rolling back prices since he sat down.
Rolling back the executive orders. That's right.
The big thing for Keith and I is that we've had 71 million requests for official photos, which is if you're not familiar with the federal government environment, every federal building has some form of what we usually call a chain of command wall, right? So, yes. And military chains of command walls are usually, they start from like the president, then the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary, I guess, of the Army, and then the four-star commander or whatever big military unit attached to, and then all the way down to your commander and your top enlisted person. At a VA hospital, it's two photos. It is the Secretary of the VA and the President of the United States. Those two photos are right as you walk in the entrance of the hospital at the main entrances. And oftentimes, if they're really, go-getters, they will... wow, we already lost the feed already. This must be a new record. Awesome. If they're real go-getters, they will. Son of a bitch! Wow. I didn't even.
They will print them off.
They will print off the leaders of the entire executive staff. There goes the feed again. Wow, we are not already losing the feed already. Jeez, that's sad. Anyway, they print off the heads of all the executives and they put them up there as well. Anyway, so our week so far has been basically just fielding calls and hey, when are we going to get the photos? Because all these Type A's out there want to refill their photos as quickly as possible. But the problem is you have to sit for an official photo first in order to have a photo. And then you can get an official photo. It's really not that hard a thing to understand, really. But people want to go out and grab like an AP photo, or a photo off somebody's blog, or a photo from 5 years ago, and none of that's really a good thing. So, anyway, that has been the crux of our the presidency so far. So we did get a new Secretary of Defense, retired Army General Lloyd Austin. That was big news there.
And Secretary of the Army.
Did they confirm him? He's not acting anymore?
Not yet. No, not yet.
All right, he's acting.
McCarthy's out.
Right. Well, yeah, that's how it works. If you're not aware, what the usual tradition is for those of you out and who remain with us, viewers. There's Tony Bullock saying hi to Keith at 8:03. Well, the usual way that works is at the end of every administration's run, whether it be the 4 years or the 8 years, the appointees hand in their letter of resignation. All of them. That's just the tradition. And then the president decides if he wants to keep them on for another term or for however long, and either hands back the resignation letter or says, okay, thanks, appreciate it, I'll get somebody else. So, yeah.
Nathaniel.
Is he here? Booyah.
You got to say his name twice.
Hopefully the feed doesn't drop again. Again, folks, if you're listening and the feed drops, just come back. It'll come back up. We apologize for that. Again, internet here out in the sticks ain't great, but we're doing our best. Plus, I got people streaming, so it is what it is. So but you know what? The inauguration was not important. What were the two things that actually happened this week that matter? One, the poet laureate kicked some major ass, sort of reigniting positivity for us, right?
And
the second,
Garth Brooks showed up at a black tie affair in his boots
and jeans, no less.
Yes.
But the
showed up in boots.
But the second thing is, if you'll just tilt yourself to the left a little bit, is that thing. Bernie Sanders is an international phenomenon. Sitting there, I think the best one of those this week by far was my favorite was because he's holding that envelope, right? And it's and I think I saw it either it was on our Black People Twitter or something like that, and it said Bernie looking like he's just came from somewhere and he's got 3 more chores and he decided to stop in and check out a little bit. That was my favorite by far. Now the visual ones that got me the best were, of course, the Star Wars ones. And a couple others. So yeah, those were. What were your favorites this week, aside from the one that we put in your photo today?
Yeah, that one with him flying in the back seat of a Thunderbird F-16.
Oh yeah,
they do the bomb burst. That was pretty good.
Bomb burst.
The other one I liked was him sitting there all by himself, saying, "This meeting could have been an email."
Yeah, that's a good one too. Because it's so like how many times have we felt that way, right? Just like, oh my God, this meeting could be an email. So it's so true.
Welcome, Julie Veckerline.
So the big story this week wasn't that we inaugurated a president. And so we created a whole fresh new meme. And seriously, that thing is not going to get off my wall. It is just, people are just finding new ways to wedge it in to anything and everything they can. And that's cool. I mean, it makes people happy, so that's good. But it's not going away. The thing about Bernie Sanders is I think he has been the only independent senator for a very long time. And he usually votes against defense stuff. But the other one that was really good this week was he's done a lot of things for racial equality. And did you see that one meme of him that says
the best?
Yeah, the best.
Yeah,
best meme. I should have it up, but I got to do better show prep. But the best sitting meme of Bernie is this one where he's sitting with the African American woman at the protest and about to get arrested.
Real photo.
And he did. Yeah, it is. And he did it more than once. So. I mean, the guy's got stones, and he's a throwback to an old time. But yeah, Bernie memes have been fun this week. Some people are just making them with every photo they have on their phone. That's getting annoying. That's getting. No, Matt's are good though because he's putting the star. But I mean, some people like I've seen in on Twitter and stuff, they're just taking photos off their phone. Like, look, they're making like duck lips and Bernie's in the background. The whole thing is just that's annoying. So. So
I want to go back to the official photo for a second.
All right.
And do my 6 degrees of separation. So when Trump was inaugurated, like this, we didn't have a photo of him.
Right.
And somebody in our building in the headquarters building of where I was, Fort Sill, put like you said, a photo off the internet.
Okay.
Although they said it was an official photo.
Right.
So I called the White House Communications Office, just because that's who I am.
That sounds really official.
And of course, it's Inauguration Day, and I'm stupid. So I called the White House Communications Office.
I don't think you're stupid.
And I said, you've never dated me, so... don't make me laugh at myself. Come on.
Bravo. That was funny.
So it picks up, and I tell him who I am, where I'm from. He said, "What can I do for you?" I said, "So we have this picture that is in our official photo, and it's of President Trump, and I just want to make sure that is the official one because he really looks like he's having a hard time taking a poop."
Right.
I said this, and you know what the response was?
No.
Click.
Yeah.
Click. I got hung up on by the White House Communications Office.
So this is a little insider baseball, but one of the things that has to happen when the president gets inaugurated is he has to go take an official photo, just as everybody else does. So it's not necessarily the first thing on the list, like sign a bunch of executive orders, do this, go to a ball, whatever. Official photo comes later. So in any case, there was a pretty long wait for the actual official photo of the previous president to actually get it, because the one that was initial really wasn't a official photo. It was actually like a green screen photo. It was composite, but that was the one he looked like this.
Yes.
right? And in the VA, we called it Grumpy Trump. So we had the Grumpy Trump photo. Well, and part of the
And this isn't partisan, by the way. This
no,
is
no,
not
that's
politics.
no, no.
This is
He had a mean face on him, so that's what
like
it was
he
called.
said.
So anyway, another challenge with not having the photo is, again, as I said, sort of at the top, you can't just place any photo. And the photos in our building are 8 by 10, 8.5 by 11 cutouts, right? You can print them off a laser printer. In goes General Daily. Everybody's happy, right? In the VA, they're 18 by 24 printed photos that the government printing office has to print. So they're budgeted. So at my hospitals, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entrances. That's 10 photos with the Secretary of the VA. So multiply that by 147 hospitals, plus however many other entrances they have. Multiply that times another 1,100 VA clinics. That's how many photos have to be sent out to these places. Right. If the VA hospital has a large size printer, it can print off the official photo and put it in. Yes, it can, but there was no official photo. And there was no photo of any sort of clarity, right, DPI-wise, that you could put on a large-scale printer without making it look like, a game of Donkey Kong with as pixelated it's going to be. Right. So for 6 months, we had a hard time because people would come to the building and go, hey, where's the president's photo? You had Obama's photo up in 10 seconds. Why isn't Trump's photo up? And there was a lot of this, and we had to say, again, we're waiting for the photo to be printed, blah, 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 blah. So that's a little insider baseball for you.
Wow.
All right, so we love your comments. Again, we will be here till about 9. We'll have our football predictions around 8:50. We don't have a bracket this evening. Keith got a little busy. Nobody's fault.
I was busy.
I was busy, so he's got that. We'll also talk about Dee Dee and I looking at new places for houses. Let's see. I wrote down. Oh, Hank Aaron and Larry King. Yeah, we need to talk about that. My ladybug infestation in the house. Can you see that thing?
Wow.
See that thing?
I see it. Looks like a wart from here, but yeah.
It's a moving wart. But anyway, I'll talk a little bit about that. And then you'll talk. So we got a lot to talk about. So
Tanya Bellows Foot.
Hello, Tanya, who works with our friend Jim Gillis.
I'm assuming that's foot and not fute.
Fute.
Yes, Tanya. How you doing, Tanya?
Which rhymes with flute. Anyway, what's on your list? What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about COVID because that's kept us busy. Let's do that.
Let's go with COVID.
You lead.
So things are tightening up here in Germany. Right now, the new thing that goes into effect tomorrow.
No, Julie, I am not.
What did Julie say?
She's asking if I'm moving, which is an interesting question. I am not.
Because you're looking for houses.
But I'd like to know what prompted the question.
Because you're looking.
No. We are just. I'm sorry. Before he gets on his COVID rant, we have been watching House Hunters International like crazy, and we are looking possibly at buying a small place like in Bali. But I'll have more on that in a few minutes. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Okay. So you have to have. You can't wear cloth masks anymore.
No.
All these masks people have been buying. Cool stuff on it, like a Dallas Cowboy or an OU. Not me, but yeah, something like that. You can't lift up your shirt. You can't wear a bandana. You have to wear either an N95 mask or a blue surgical mask.
Right.
And now the thing is, that's only in stores, which there's not many of them open right now here
Grocery
in Germany.
stores, need stores.
And
right.
yeah, and to stores and to where's the other place?
Stores.
I lost my train
Yeah. Stores and go on. It'll come to us in a minute.
Hospitals, things like that.
Right.
So if you're
public
just out
transportation.
and about, public transportation. Thank you. So if you're out and about, you're walking on the sidewalk, you can wear your cloth mask. Now the thing is, of course, we're getting a bajillion questions. Does that mean in my office?
Yep.
Does that mean on post? On the airbase?
It's amazing
does that mean?
How many barristers are created when an event comes up like this, for sure.
Now, I will tell you that I got a call today from one of our people that asked if the adjoining county of Birkenfeld, where Baumholder is going under curfew because they have gone above the magic number of 200.
200, yep.
Is it 200 per thousand? 200 per. It's got to be thousand.
It's
right.
It's the R number, right? So if your R number is 50 or below, you are good to go. Basically, your life can go on. If you're above 50, then there's some measures. If you're above 100, there's more measures. I think it's per 100,000 or something like that, or per 10,000. See, now we're all sketchy. We've been working so hard this weekend trying to talk about it. We've forgotten what that is, but we don't talk about that much. So
I called our esteemed colleague in Baumholder and asked him the question.
Right.
And he said, no, they are not, because they are just above the number. And what put them over the number was a breakout in 200 per 100,000. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, Matt Davis.
What put them over the number is there was a breakout, a hot spot in a retirement home.
Right.
So since they know where that hot spot is, they're not going into a curfew
No.
or anything like that. So, but those are the kinds of things we have to deal with and look out for every day here in Germany. And that's, again, for those of you new to the show, like maybe Tony, the reason we started this show is because when we first started,
I know. Go ahead.
First started this show was back in March, and we said what's the word I'm looking for? We were in quarantine.
We were in
lockdown.
lockdown.
But
we were in lockdown.
Teleworking. Yeah. Lockdown, teleworking.
That was HP Con Charlie Village.
Yeah, we were we both have radio experience, so we said, hey, look, he said, you want to do a podcast? You want to build a snowman? I said, I'd rather podcast. And don't do that. That'll excite me. And
you really need to get you a girlfriend.
Need a girlfriend. Anyway, so I've got radio experience. He has podcast experience and radio experience. So we started this. So we talk about COVID and what's happening here in Germany, as opposed to the U.S., because that's where our foundation is for this podcast. So that's where we are in Germany at this moment.
Some other pertinent things as far as our area goes. So General Order 2 for our region came out today or yesterday, right? But we were finally able to get hold of it and post it for everyone on our website today. But
takes effect tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there used to be a thing where you couldn't drive more than like 15 or 30 kilometers from, basically, I would say the center of Kaiserslautern, and that's pretty fair, to go anywhere. So that was it. So you really can't, there's nowhere you can go visit. Now that's opened up to 100 kilometers. What's the other big thing that's sort of, no curfew anymore.
No curfew, right.
Now you have to remember, one of the things that's kind of interesting about these general orders for Keith and I as civilians is they do apply to us. But legally they don't, because legally the general officer can't tell a civilian this is what you're going to do. Sort of can and can't. It's sort of in our best interest to do so. It's highly encouraged, I think, is the language they use. So of course we're going to do what they tell us. But it's very much mandatory for soldiers. But anyway, the language is always interesting to read in some of these letters. But yeah, the no curfew now and the radius, we can now go 100 kilometers, which means still can't go see friends in Stuttgart, but we'll get there.
Yeah, the borders are still
closed. Can't leave those. Can't do it overnight, and I don't think the hotels will let you in anyway. So it hasn't really changed a lot. So, okay, so that's kind of COVID-ish. The numbers are going down in our region, though. The R number is moving in the right direction. So maybe that's a combination of inoculation. That's a combination of everything that's happening, and so on and so forth. Still going up in other places, but not necessarily in our area. So that's the COVID update. We are still alive. We're about to hit like a solid. When March comes to me, March is 1 year. I don't know if if you've got a different point, but March for me is 1 year of pandemic, which is really strange to me, right? So,
I agree. The SRO in our area did a town hall the other night. I think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
My days are running together, and he made it a point to say
a lot of ours are.
That day that he did that was the first anniversary of the first COVID death in the U.S.
Right.
Which really kind of hit me hard.
I know.
I thought, wow. So
it's crazy,
so,
and it's difficult. It's difficult. You are watching and listening to the show is a JK with your pals Jason and Keith, a.k.a. the KMC Social Hour. We're glad you're here. Don't forget, pick us up on iTunes and Spotify. By the way, I still need to post those. That's actually my mission tonight, is to get all the rest of the shows posted tonight, so you'll have your podcast listening, so you can catch up on us being silly. And please, we would love for you to like the page. So if you are on the page watching the show, please give us a like. That helps move some things around, helps the algorithms, all those great things. And we would love for you to give us a starred review and a note or two about the podcast on iTunes. It really does help the algorithm there. So if we are something for you on Sunday nights, let us know that. We have not quite figured out the watch party thing yet. I think they have somehow... I spent like 20 minutes tonight going, okay, if I click here and do this, but I can't get a watch party from this page to... So I'll have to reinvestigate that, and we'll get that back on our feed. But also caught some folks on Twitter and some other things, so... went to Taco Bell today. So for those,
I went there sometime recently, Friday, I think it was.
For those of you in the outer regions, Stuttgart and elsewhere, the big mall has the big BX has been divided essentially into three quadrants, right? So you have the south quadrant, which is the Cheesecake Factory, I believe, or is that the west? I don't know. I think it's the south. They called it the south. So the south quadrant is Cheesecake Factory and a couple of other things. The middle quadrant is food court only, Starbucks and everything else.
Macaroni Grill.
Macaroni Grill, thank you. And then the north, yeah, like wow, I gave us a new restaurant, right? And then the north quadrant is actually where you get to go into the store, and there's a couple of things in there. So the only things to do lately literally are go to the BX, go to the commissary. If it's Saturday, you can go to Globus and a couple of other stores in the area just to kind of get out of the house and do your needs. But that's about it. Go hiking where you can, so on and so forth. So today, yesterday and today, Annabelle had to go to the BX for something yesterday. But fortunately, we found out we didn't have to go at the last minute. A good thing we didn't, Keith, because I remember the premiere of Star Wars when I was a kid in 1977, May 25th, and that whole week. The line out the door of the BX yesterday and today was comparable in size to a premiere of Star Wars. It was out the door and wrapped out to the left, sort of moving toward the food court. It was just to get into the BX today. It was crazy.
What the hell?
I know. So, but anyway, today was the day I decided to join my wife and eat some Taco Bell, and that was a big mistake. That was a big mistake because I felt like shit since like a half hour after we ate it. So that will be my last Taco Bell. They have gone on. Have I talked about the list here before with you, or have I talked about the list, the 6-month ban and the full ban? Have I talked to you about that?
No.
So basically, the way I do restaurants, and some of you may do this too, and if you do, please chime in the comments. The way I do restaurants is we go to a restaurant, and if it sucks ass, it gets a 6-month ban, which basically means I'll go back in 6 months. Because in 6 months, if it's that shitty and they've treated enough people that badly, then the management may turn over or a cook will quit or something like that. And then you go back in that 6 months, you go, okay, this is better, worse, or indifferent. That actually happened with the Manchu Walk in the mall, or whatever it's called. We first came here, I'm like, I'll try them, and they were awful. So I said, nope, 6-month ban, they're out. So 6-month ban, came back 6 months. Guess what? Food was way better. So it works. Some restaurants get my esteemed lifetime ban, and that's only a couple. But there are restaurants that get the lifetime ban, and there were like 4 in Georgia that I'm like, I'll never go back there again. Never, ever, ever. For various reasons. But Taco Bell is now on the 6-month ban, and I'm trying to lose weight anyway. But that was the only thing I ate today. But it had me on the couch just like this. Just lethargic all day. I mean, I fell asleep sitting there, and then I caught myself snoring, and Annabelle was just kind of looking over me. I'm like, oh, sorry, dude, I was snoring. So that was very, very bad. You've been watching WandaVision, right?
Yeah, and I'm enjoying it. And it's now, WandaVision is another Marvel show on Disney Plus. I've been hearing good things about it, so I thought I'd check it out last night. I watched the 3 episodes. They're only a half hour long that have aired so far, or have streamed so far, if you will.
Yeah.
And
aired.
It's very The Truman Show-esque. Mm-hmm. If you remember that, that's where Jim Carrey was running his life, but basically, he was basically in a TV show. His whole life was in a TV show.
Great film.
That's what this feels like, but because it's Marvel, you have a sense that there's some sinister behind the scenes things going on. I don't want to give away any of the plot, but it starts off very 1950s. The second episode is 1960s, and then the third episode was 1970s. Things happen within Vision. I mentioned Marvel, so it's Vision and his love, Wanda the Sorceress from the Marvel movies. The living happily ever after. I don't want to give away any plot points, but things happen within that dynamic. It has what is it? Mary Jo, the mom from that '70s show, Mary Jo Krupp, I think is her name.
I didn't watch
anyway,
it.
It has that in the first episode and things like that. It's and in the last episode, Vision gets drunk which is funny. So I am enjoying the show. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. So you said you haven't seen it yet.
Have not. I plan to actually catch up with it this week because I am kind of into that whole they're getting mind fucked sort of vibe. So I want to check that out and see what's what with that. And the thing that as PJ said, Scarlet Witch, and I'm actually
say something wrong about the Marvel universe, and look what happens.
Batman swoops in for vengeance, which is ironic
from DC world.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm actually drawing Scarlet Witch right now for Gary Burton, who we both know, and I found out that was his favorite character. So I'm drawing it. It'll suck, but I wanted to do that for him since I like him that much. But so yes, I'll be catching up with that. Today was our further adventures of potentially buying a condo somewhere in a foreign land. As we were both sort of like, why did we eat Taco Bell, right? So, but Dee Dee had the more healthy sort of salady thing. I had the Burrito Supreme and other thing, and that was not. So, House Hunters International, if you don't know, you live under a rock. But House Hunters International, essentially, there are couples who buy houses in foreign countries. So, essentially, we've been avoiding all the cold countries. Czechoslovakia.
Sure.
Czech Republic, Sweden, Norway, Germany. I mean, we caught a couple of those. There was one on K-Town today. Some veterinarian. I'm sure many of you have seen that one. That was the first time we saw it.
Where are you finding them?
On Hulu.
Where are you finding them?
Hulu.
I don't have Hulu account. So
well, come over. You can watch with us. So anyway, the K-Town one with the veterinarian was on Hulu. He ended up living like in an industrial area near launch, so I knew exactly where it was. But so anyway, today's offerings were from Bali, which Julie mentioned earlier. From Perth, Australia, a place actually I've been very interested in. There was one for Italy, Vicenza, because we thought, another military couple, so maybe we'll check out that vibe. And there was one other I can't mention. So Mexico is kind of in a horse race with a couple of other places, warm place. The other one was Ecuador. Marta, Ecuador, which looks phenomenal. The $200,000 house that these people bought was like, mwah! It was beautiful. And I'm thinking, well, my retirement check plus potential other retirement monies would more than pay for any of these. So why not go somewhere and just sort of kick it, right? So that's been the other, and I know many of you have seen the House Hunters, but we sort of vibed off of the House Hunters United States ones because it really was that joke that you see floating around. It's, the latest meme I saw was the couple, they're sort of walking around all wide-eyed and they're looking at houses and it says, just got a $600 refund check, just got her $600 refund check, and then below it the strip that says budget $3.2 million or something like that. So I just got we're in Chicago and I'm like, I don't want to live in Chicago. We're in California. I can't afford California. Nobody can. We're in, and it's all these places they're sort of listing. It's like, it doesn't work. So, and then, not to bogart the time further, but the other thing I watched today, and I wanted to get this in, if you get a chance, watch the documentary on George Lazenby called Becoming Bond. Now, I'll preface this by saying, if you are thinking about it, it's got a bit of nudity in it. It's got some real overt sort of sexual reenactment that happens, but there's a reason for it, and you get it because it's kind of part of the guy's character. I think he looks like, what's his name, Bruce Campbell, or Bruce Campbell looks like him. They could be, but it's a fascinating sort of look at sort of how he got to be at the, how he got into, not even audition for Bond. He basically walked in a guy's office and goes, I'm James Bond. And that guy goes, basically, yeah, you are. Let's get you over to this guy to do a test. But it's also this sort of like he just was himself, right? Because as many of us know, he did that movie, and then they offered him 6 more pictures and like $1 million in a bag, and he was like, "Nah, I think I'm just going to go sell cars
I'm
again."
good. Yeah, I'm good.
Which in this day and age, people would be like, "What?" It'd be TMZ all over the place, right? But when you watch the documentary, you understand why. I mean, he is just his. I mean, bad or good, indifferent, whatever. He's just his own dude, and I respect that immensely. That part of it, anyway. I'd like to feel that making some of the choices I made to be here, sitting with you, and I've sort of been my own dude in that way. But I highly recommend it. Again, a bit of nudity, some sexual sort of moments. Jane Seymour's in it. The funny comedian Jeff Garlin is in it, playing Harry Saltzman. And who's the other person that's sort of famous that's in it? Those are the 2 biggies that when you see them, you're like, oh, they're in this. So it does it. But he's a fascinating guy. It's sort of, he did his own thing and he's his own man. But he was really good looking, too. And Dee and I's theory of pretty people usually have an easier way in life theory sort of comes into play there, too. But, I mean, he was on a roll. And he just sort of tells the story. At one point, the documentarian's even like, okay, seriously, George, how much of this is actually true and how much of this is bullshit? And he goes, why would I lie? This is my life. This is the way it happened. And you're like, okay, good enough for me. So it was pretty funny. So anyway, good special. Anything else you seen on well, go ahead. Anything else you want to see on TV? And then I want to tell you about my virtual reality experience last night.
Well, I want to go back. Daniel Nathaniel twice now has mentioned that, and this is kind of why I got away from House Hunters. I liked it. I liked the show. I love House Hunters International, but it's a lot of it is staged. These people already have a house.
Yeah, for sure.
Bought, and they want to be on TV.
Right.
Whatever.
Hi, Connie.
Hi, Connie. But no, I love House Hunters, and I've seen some of the ones in Europe, Germany, that kind of thing, and that's on Hulu. You said, right?
It is on Hulu, yeah. Both versions. If you have a VPN, you get to see both versions. Right. It is the dirty little secret. You're already sort of going into. I mean, you could tell sort of because they look at all 3 houses wearing the same clothes. So right. I mean, that's kind of a giveaway. And my thing at the beginning is I wonder if I could catch a little hint or something that I could see where they're gonna. I think the most interesting one was one we watched yesterday. A woman decided to basically pack her shit and go to Mexico. I don't remember who she was, but I respected the spirit. She had a younger son who had become, like 21, 22. He had started, and she had no reason to stay in California. So she's like, I'm going to go buy a house in Mexico. So she goes down there. She has a very fixed budget, and it's not necessarily at the top end. She goes down there, and they show her these 3 places that look like, one of the guys from the 16th Sustainment Brigade chucked a hand grenade in it. But it was tiled well, so that part was okay. So, but anyway, she ended up picking this one sort of bombed out house. And then when they cut to the 3 months later, it basically looked like the same bombed out house. So I thought that was interesting. So it's always sort of interesting to see, the 3 weeks later. And, a lot of these, and I keep talking, but somebody mentioned Fixer Upper. That's one of my favorite stories. But a lot of these, they turn into Airbnbs, right? They don't actually live in them. Right. And that's the real dirty secret with Fixer Upper, at least in those first 3 or 4 seasons, is people come in and be like, this is my dream home, Joanna. Oh, Chip, you're amazing. And the next thing they do is just turn them over and sell them for $2 million because Chip and Joanna Gaines fucking did it for them, right? And they turn them into Airbnbs or whatever. And it's like, who wants to Airbnb in Waco, Texas? I mean, if you're going to a Baylor football game, I guess, and I think SpaceX is headquartered there, but I mean, like the one that I really liked was this farmhouse, and they ended up doing it for like $300,000 or something like that, and they turned it over for like $1.5 million. So I mean, good for them, but there was a lot of sort of I don't want to say dishonesty, but not a lot of truth in lending when the show first started. So
yeah, I have a lot of shiplap upstairs.
Shiplap.
I have shiplap
in
my bedrooms. Yes. Julie says she's eyeballing Mallorca, which, in case you didn't know, Julie, is part of Spain. That's
an old joke.
That's an inside joke.
That's a 2020.
That goes back to that goes back a year, doesn't it?
That's a 2020 joke. All right. So why have I put this on? You're asking.
Why are you putting that on,
Good.
Jason?
So if you look over let me see. This shoulder, you see the B-wing that's hanging up there, right?
Yes.
It's a staple of the show. So last night I got to the game Star Wars Squadron, which is very cool, but I haven't played it in a while. So I decided to hook up my VR headset, and I'm like, I haven't played it in a while. I really need to do this. I need to turn this off first, though, or it's going to totally screw us up. Oh, come on. Now you're frozen. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Hang on one second. La la la.
Okay. While you do that, let me
Yeah,
explain.
say something.
Julie, just so you know, we would get at least 5 a week when countries first started shutting down.
Right.
We would get at least 5 a week saying, "Okay, I know Spain is off limits, but can we still go to Mallorca?"
Yeah,
that's why that's an inside joke I have to explain.
Totally.
So,
yeah, we got at least many of those. Seriously, Julie, it was a hilarious 10 days of, okay, this little sliver of this country, is that off limits? Is it part of the country? Yes. Then it's off limit. I mean, it was that simple. So anyway, so they finally put this ship into the game. And so I was just going to like, la la la, I'll hop in an X-Wing. This ship is like the love of my life. And a few people know that. But when I saw that you could actually fly it, I was like, I could die happy. And I was flying it, and I was dying a lot because it's a big, slow ship with giant guns. It's really supposed to be like for assaulting starships. It was the best. I had the best time ever flying the B-Wing. I highly recommend it.
The B-Wing is what dropped the bombs on the Star Destroyers, right?
No.
What was it? Rise of Skywalker?
Or? Last Jedi, but no, it was
Jedi,
that was actually a sort of a different rebellion bomber, which I've actually been looking for a model of, and there's none out there. I think there's a Lego of it, but it's like $400. I'm not spending, but I like that too. I just like the unusual shape and the kind of the whole deal with it. I think there's a couple of books about it too that are out there as well. You are watching This Show is a JK with your pals Jason and Keith, and I think the show's motto is going to become Jason's been talking too much, because I did run for about 10 minutes, and I apologize for that. So you wanted to talk about a couple of like legends who passed away this week.
Rest in peace. Yes, the rest in peace segment. So we lost 2 legends from different worlds. First, Hank Aaron, Hammer and Hank,
Hammer and Hank.
Does he still hold a home run 412? Does he still hold that?
No, that's Barry.
I don't know.
Barry Bonds, I think, passed him, and Alex Rodriguez. I think they both passed Hank Aaron,
Okay.
but yeah.
So there's that iconic video of him hitting number 412, and as he's rounding second base, some dude jumps out of the stands and tries to meet him.
No, not
and
412.
hug him.
755.
755.
Yeah.
Thank you. And tries to hug Hank Aaron as he's running around. And Hank, who
Yeah, I
has
agree,
always
PJ.
been known as a gentleman.
Yep.
Yeah, he, politely but sternly pushes him out of the way and hits third base because no matter if the ball goes over the fence, you still have to touch all the bases.
Well, and
So,
and what's interesting, right,
but that was big.
is he did that for and he did it with like under the shadow of death threats, under the shadow of violence, and all of those other things.
Extreme
so,
racism,
right.
Yeah, it was so rest in peace to Hammer and Hank Aaron. And the other one I noticed this week kind of hits a soft spot for me, Larry King. When I got into radio in 1989, Larry was on top of the world. And, when I got into radio, I wanted to be the hot rock and flame throwing DJ.
715, thank you. I don't know why I said 755.
So I wanted to be the hot rock and flame throwing DJ, but then I got the small station I worked at, did my internship at, and ended up being hired on, was a local community station that did news, that did sports and all that. So I found out I liked news. I liked doing interviews. I had a girlfriend once who said I was nosy. I say it's professional curiosity.
Nosy.
Professional curiosity. So I started watching Larry King, and I wanted to be a radio talk show host, which of course then as out of radio led into being a TV reporter and anchor and that kind of thing. So Larry King holds a big spot in my life, and Larry King is known for getting the people who wouldn't talk to anybody else and getting them to say things that they wouldn't say to anybody else. Now, I'm not commenting on his married life or the number of marriages he had or anything.
Nothing
But
to
he
do with
did.
anything. Yeah.
No, he did die of COVID complications. But then again, Larry was what,
89, I believe.
83,
I think it's
89,
I
yeah,
think it was 89.
and had multiple heart surgeries. So, regardless, he died of COVID complications. So, rest in peace, Hank Aaron and Larry King.
Houston, hello. Larry King was amazing. Big Dodger fan. Had all of the big interviews in the '80s, mid '80s to the mid '90s, and then he just his time was up. He was big in entertainment as a whole, I think, and had a tremendous admiration for him. He used to sit in the first 3 rows of Dodger games with Mary Hart and all the big wigs. So definitely missed. Hank Aaron, is so. We lived in Georgia a couple times. Once we lived in Warner Robins. Once we lived in Augusta. And so Hank Aaron was ever present on the Braves broadcasts and things like that. And everybody was reverent about Hank Aaron. They were Skip Carey, all the clowns who did the Don Sutton him rest in peace too, by the way. And I think Don Drysdale passed away. Wow, I mean, it's been a big bad week for baseball, right? But Don Sutton and all the guys who would do the broadcast, when Hank Aaron was on, it was like, okay, everybody, let's knock off the goofball shit. Hank Aaron's here, right? He's always very nice. He always had great things to say. My personal connection with Hank Aaron is Dee Dee and I have a friend, Christian Wagner, who is, you may know him. He, for those of you who are Star Wars fans, he does a series of Star Wars paintings. They're close-ups. They're called reflections, and generally you'll see like Boba Fett's face. In fact, hang on. Oh no, I moved it. It's on the other side. You'll see the reflection of something in the mask or in the lenses. Like there's a great Darth Vader one, which is back there that you can't really see it. But you see Luke's face in there. So, but anyway, he did some work for Hank Aaron for his dealership and during the Major League Baseball promotion. He painted Hank Aaron, and it's spot on. Chris is a great dude, and so that's so yeah, exactly. Rest in peace to both of those. It's been I mean, we're not in 2020 certainly, but it's been the last like 6 months. There've been some really sort of milestone deaths, but that's the way it goes. What else you got before we get to drown out all of our friends with NFL blather?
Just a real quick question. This came up. I don't know. I was reading something, whatever. Saw a cartoon, whatever. I don't remember. What was your favorite lunch in school?
What grades? It's important that I know that because I was at like 20 different schools growing up because we moved so much.
Let's say high school.
Good. So I was able to go off campus during high school. And there was a couple, in fact, I just talked about this on my feed not too long ago. There were Mexican restaurants just down the road. There were a couple, and one was a fantastic rolled taco stand. And you could get like 12 rolled tacos for like $4.50. And they were nom-nommy good, and they had guacamole, and it was authentic. And that was probably my favorite school lunch. But if I know you're talking about like when you get in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
So probably spaghetti. I mean, that was one, it was pretty safe. You can't really fuck with pasta. The meat sauce. Matt says tacos. Come on, everybody, chime in. What was your favorite school lunch in high school? We want to see it. So Matt says tacos, but yeah, probably spaghetti. What was yours?
I made spaghetti tonight, in fact. Mine was hamburger day.
What kind of sauce do you like?
Meat sauce.
Okay. No, like ragu, Newman's Own.
Yeah, I use ragu, meat sauce.
Tacos. PJ says cheeseburgers. Come on, chime in with your favorite lunches, people. There's nine others of you out there, so let's see.
Cafeteria tacos, Matt. Nice. As you know me by now, I'm a picky eater.
For sure.
So, some days.
But for good reason, too, right?
Well, yes and no.
Yeah.
Microwave French bread.
Pizza from 7-Eleven.
See,
good choice.
We had a closed campus. It's open now because there's more stuff around, but when I went there, to Bellevue West High School in Bellevue, Nebraska, right outside Offutt Air Force Base. There was nothing around, so they had a closed campus. Now there's all kinds of things from Sonic to McDonald's to Don and Millie's, which is a Nebraska thing, to Runza, to all kinds of things right there across the highway. Millie's. Yeah. It's a kind of a bistro kind of place.
Daniel Nathaniel says, I did not go to lunch at high school. Hated the scene there. All that poi, I would guess, would be difficult. I don't think they make a rolled taco with poi. So that's just my guess.
Tony
All right.
says cheeseburgers.
So let me hear your best before we get to NFL. Let me hear your best FM DJ guy run up to the beginning of the song, weather, and something coming up intro. Can you do one? Can you improv one?
Oh man, I can't go deep. I've been using my voice too much.
Let's just hear it. Let's hear it. I got to hear it. Full FM DJ guy.
Oh, I never went deep.
Puking. Just puke it out. Because I'm going to do mine. So go ahead.
You're listening to KJAS 105.1. Weather outside is rainy and about 36 degrees, so make sure you wear your coat so you can't cut glass. Coming up, as you can hear over behind me, you've got the intro to John Bon Jovi and Living on a Prayer. That's coming up on 105.1 FM.
That's pretty good. That's not bad. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's KPOW's 1235 on a great Saturday afternoon in Los Angeles. Don't forget the surf today is going to hit at about 4:12, and you're going to have the moon tonight at about 8:25. It's going to be a great day tomorrow, all but the sun, 72 in the day, 42 at night though, so be sure you take that light jacket as you're out cruising Sunset Boulevard. Coming up for you now, it is Cardi B with I Don't Like This Song. That's
Nice.
not bad. I fell out of it a little bit because I wanted to do a little more modern song reference at the end, but I didn't have it. All right, let's talk NFL.
I'm surprised you didn't go wow.
So I've never heard that song. Has anybody ever heard the WAP, the WAP, the WAP? No, okay, I've never heard it either.
Damn sure not going to hear it on AFN.
The song that still sticks in my head is "That's My Type." That's my type. I'm still getting over that AFN played that song. That really kills me. All right, NFL. So in about 13 minutes or so, we're going to have the first of 2 NFL games, one on which I will not be awake for. But what's the first one? Is it the NFC? No, it's the NFC, right? So it's Packers at Bucks.
Packers, Bucks. All right, no, it's at Packers.
At Packers. Okay, so before we get to that, though, the big news out of the NFL is that Georgia graduate Matthew Stafford is departing the Detroit Lions. So if you're a Lions fan...
Ways. They've agreed to.
That's the best piece of the Lions they've had in a very long time. He was a great quarterback. In his prime, he was the fantasy football quarterback. I mean, he was good because they were so far behind, he would just come roaring back,
right.
4 touchdowns, 400 yards, and go crazy. So I see him headed to San Francisco. I think they're that piece away. But he could end up in Houston because Deshaun Watson is on the move, right? So. Lots of interesting moving pieces going on there but Stafford, I have a tremendous amount of admiration. He stuck it out there for as long as he could. I mean, he got beaten and broken, never had a running game. They sent up one of Bill Belichick's lackeys, bad clones, and he didn't work with a stupid pencil behind his ear. I mean, he's a smart guy. I mean, I think he's like an aeronautical engineer. Okay, got it.
Matt Patricia,
yeah. Right? But he went his entire 5-year run was basically 6-10, right? With some, they might do something this year, but I'm not even sure they even made it to the playoffs maybe once.
Nope.
PJ says Phillip Rivers is retiring. That makes sense.
Phillip Rivers.
They had
and probably Drew Brees.
I mean, the Colts had a great run this year with him. He was great, but they just they couldn't hold on. So.
Gosh darn it! It's time for me to retire.
The Raiders, marmalade. The Raiders aren't doing much of anything. They fired they got a new offensive coordinator. I think his name is Montana or something like that, and they brought in a new defensive coordinator. But I don't know. John Gruden always just feels like 10-6, 9-7 guy.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
The Cowboys got a new offensive coordinator,
and I'm not sure how much farther Derek Carr can take us in the Raiders. So, who did they get as offensive coordinator?
I don't remember.
Okay,
I'm sorry, not offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator.
Oh, okay, and then I saw that old quarterback. Who's the quarterback that's up for the coaching job? Josh McCown is up for a coaching job, as is somebody else. I know.
That's news to me.
Here's how old we are right now. Everybody, this is a good indicator. I am now in the second generation of being old as far as music goes because I saw between the House Hunters International pieces, Flo Rida is doing a Ralph's commercial in Southern California because that's where the feed comes from, Southern Cal. So Flow Riders low is in a Rouse commercial. That's getting old. All right, game number 1, my friend. Packers Bucks. Who you got?
You know, to go back to your feeling old thing,
Yeah.
this is like the 3rd, 4th, 5th year in a row where I remember watching everybody that has been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that's when you know you're getting up there. Who do I got? Let's see. I said Packers Bucks. You know, I will start off by saying it would not surprise me if any of these teams made it and or won the Super Bowl. So with this game, I don't think even with Tom Brady, I don't think you beat Aaron Rodgers the way he's playing right now at home. So I'll go with the Packers. And you know that kills me to say.
Yeah, I do. I think what's startling about the Buccaneers is let me backtrack. What's startling about Tom Brady is he leaves the Patriots, and the Patriots had probably the worst season in a long time, at least cosmetically too. Everybody thought, well, Bill Belichick's going to bring in Cam Newton and everything's going to be fine. Everything was not fine, and as I was trying to, as Denise and I were talking about, because she's not a football fan at all. She was saying, what's with Tom Brady? I'm like, the quarterback is the most important position on the football team. They're the one who basically navigates the football downfield. Football is a real estate acquisitions game, and Tom Brady is very, very good at acquiring real estate. So when you have somebody who's that smart, who's that adept, and even at his age is still, I mean, you could, if he was in Indianapolis, we'd be talking about the Colts right now, right? I mean, Phillip Rivers is fantastic,
Sure.
But you know what I mean. So it is remarkable to me. The Bucs already had a pretty good offensive set anyway, and I think he knew that going down. The name you haven't heard a lot this year is Rob Gronkowski, but in that case, but the Bucs also have a phenomenal defense. That said, the Pack also offensively much better, great running game, some great receivers, and also great defense. This to me, this game almost feels like one of the best sort of it's a wash games because both quarterbacks are comparable, both offenses are comparable, both defenses are comparable. So this, to use the cliche, folks, feels like one of those games where it's going to come down to like a fumble or a special teams play or something like that. And I think Tom Brady's heart's going to get broken. So I am also taking the Packers. And if you're betting, I'm taking the Packers by 5. So there you go. That's for that. All right, game number 2. I like this game. It's more interesting to me. Bills at Chiefs. Because I think Bills at Chiefs is something very interesting. And it's very hard for me to pick either of these teams to do anything because I fucking hate them both for the walloping that the Bills put on the Raiders. I believe it was 51-3 one year in the AFC Championship game. Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and the K-Gun and all that. And I just can't say anything nice about the Chiefs. I like Patrick Mahomes. And I like Andy Reid. I've always liked Andy Reid and the tragedy with his son. And so that's where the niceness ends. I think the Chiefs' offense is amazing. I think it can pull stuff out when it needs to. The defense I haven't really seen. I don't know much about it. But I know that they win games, and they've been winning since the Super Bowl, and they haven't really stopped. Now, the question is, and I don't know if you've heard this, and maybe some of our folks out in listener land know, with the status of Mahomes after his concussion, do you know?
Yes.
Is he playing?
Is he
full
was
go?
Back in practice. He will go.
Full go,
back
okay.
in practice yesterday. The question now
Yes.
is, I don't know if you saw last week's game,
Yeah.
but remember he was hobbling around before he got hurt.
Yes, I did.
He's got a toe problem. So will he be mobile?
Toes are important.
Like he's used to.
Yep.
So who are you picking?
Right. Also, I wanted to get that clarification on Patrick Mahomes. So
he's in.
Basically healthy, except for his toe. It's always awful when you get to the stage and your best player can't play. So it looks like each side will have their best players. All that said, I cannot pick the Chiefs. I will not pick the Chiefs. Although I think they may be the better team. But there's something really interesting about the Bills this year. I like what they've built. I like, again, underdog teams that sort of come to life and have a shot. I was kind of half-assed, kind of hoping the Browns would kind of do something interesting. They did not. So when the Raiders didn't make it in, I tied my wagon to the Rams. The Rams just were injury-plagued, so that just didn't work. So I kind of just fell out. So we're here. There's something in me that says the Chiefs are probably going to win, but I don't care. I'm rooting for the Bills on this one, so I've got the Bills.
This game is going to come down to whichever quarterback plays better.
Right.
And I like Josh Allen. I like his fire. I like his grit.
Fire and grit.
I like how he's improved tremendously this year. What?
PJ said make a pick already. He's probably talking to me though.
I think he was talking to you.
Yeah.
But I like Mahomes coming out of the Big 12. And that game, I think we talked about it last week, that it was on Facebook, all the scoring plays from that 63 to 57 game, Texas Tech against OU. I'll say it again. I'm okay with whatever team makes it to the Super Bowl in this foursome, if you will.
Right.
I'm going to go with Chiefs.
Okay.
So
you've got
just because they've been there.
You've got Pack Chiefs, right?
I do.
And I've got Pack Bills. So the one that would make us both wrong would be Bucks Bills.
Yeah.
Right? That's the one that would make us both wrong. Although I would have the Bills. So either way, we're both at least 50%. I think we're both. Well, no, neither of us picked the Bucks. So we will both be. One of us will be at least 50% right going into the Super Bowl. All right, we are done with sports talk, Matt. So anything you want to wrap this up with, Keith?
No, it's been an eventful week, if you will.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a new employee in the office who seems to be fitting in wonderfully, and the things that happened over the weekend, and maybe some unrealistic expectations on people's parts, but that's part of life. That's part of what we do for a living. For
Indeed,
one,
sir, indeed.
Why can't you answer this question on Facebook? Well, because it's not our. It's not our part of the Army, for one thing, or we don't own the hospital, or we don't give the shots, or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So it's very frustrating, but A, being able to do this, B, having great co-workers throughout the entire office helps out, and watching PJ try to bust my balls on comments here, is helps out end the week as well. So
watching everyone trying to bust our collective balls on here is a lot of fun. Again, we always appreciate the comments. We appreciate when you're here. We only had one little glitch at the start, and we got off. We've had our highest viewership in a long time. So again, we very much appreciate you. If there are things you'd like us to talk about on the show, drop us a note. Say, hey, you guys talk about this. You're kind of missing this, or we want you to be involved in the conversation too. We always appreciate when you show up. We're not going to talk about Batman though, PJ. No, I'm just kidding. We will if we do. So. All right, let me wrap this up then by saying, please remember that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, and all the big distributors right now. We're about 2 shows behind getting uploaded. Again, I'm going to sign off, turn on the game, come back over, upload all the shows. So you'll have those in a minute. So if you're podcasting on your way to work, whatever, you will have those. If you're listening, again, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, all the Google Play Music, all the usual places you can get the show. Donnell Pafundi says, looking good, Keith.
Well, thank you, Donnell, and thanks for chiming in.
All the usual places you can get the show are there, so we ask you to subscribe to one. We ask you to like the page, please. Like that this show is a JK page, so we know you're out there watching. And
share it, please.
We have settled in as Sunday at 8 p.m. Central European and 2 p.m. Sunday. 2 p.m. Eastern as our time. I'm hoping to drag Keith back over here for a live show. That actually makes it easier because we don't have to use Skype and it doesn't take up as much bandwidth. But we'll figure out when we get back together live and when we do that. So anything else?
That does it for me, and everybody have a good night. So we're signing off with the national anthem. Have a great night, everybody.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the games. Enjoy your week.
We're not signing off with the national anthem.
All the best to you and your families. Again, follow us on the page. Take care. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.